Well, it's another day, back at it again. I got a different project. It's not just gonna be Mopars on this channel. It's gonna be, whatever. And anyways, we're working on this Craftsman today. So the deal is with this is it ran fine, and then one summer my daughter was mowing, and she'd always wore her earmuffs with music, and she didn't know what happened. So long story short, I took the spark plug out, and it was mashed against the electrode. The strap was, straightened it out, put it back in, fired back up, did it again, and it's like heavy rattling noise going on when it was starting. So I'm thinking best case scenario, valve spring broke. Worst case scenario, broke a connecting rod. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tear this apart. Sorry about the noise, neighbors got construction going on. But anyways, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tear this apart and see what actually is wrong with it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hood off. It's not in my way. It's got a connector right here. Disconnect that. And pull the hood off. Already partially disassembled it. As you can see, it's been setting for a long time, but the carburetor was covered, so it shouldn't have any moisture, any rain water in there anyways. Okay. Use my oil can as a put all my stuff in. I'm going to take the plug out first. Okay. Looks fouled, but the electrode wasn't smashed this time. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and I think I'm just going to go ahead and take the head off and see what's going on in there. Take these screws off. These just held the top of the cover on. Well, right here I believe is the valve. I think this is the valve cover. I'm going to kind of just muddle my way through. It's been a long time since I worked on small engines. Yep. Valve cover. Rockers are super loose. Trying to see if there's a bent. This is actually a push rod motor. Trying to see if the push rods are bent at all. Can't really tell. I'll have to take this apart, I guess. Not sure what the lash is supposed to be, but these are pretty loose. I don't know if that's correct. Right side. Must be metric. 3/8 is too small, and 7/16 is, I think this is 7/16. Ooh. Yeah, 7/16 is too big, so I guess it's metric. Put my valve train stuff in the white one. Okay. I don't know if these are directional or not. They don't look to be. And they might be actually. Separate. The bottom one will be in that cover there. Let's see. Push rods are pretty stout. That's what you would see in a V8 actually. Alright, so I got to thinking, you know, that piece of the carburetor was inside the cylinder, tearing up the cylinder. Where the hell did the flapper go? So I took the intake off of the carburetor, and of course it wasn't in there. What was interesting, it was actually in there with the valves inside there, and I dug it out. And so basically, you know, you could fix this, I guess, if you had parts or whatever. I don't. And the carburetor I found on Amazon, it was like 19 bucks. It'll be here in a couple days. So I ordered that, and then I already ordered a new head gasket and a new a new fuel pump. Sorry, you can't see me. And ordered a new fuel pump too, because odds are it's probably shot. So what I'm going to do now is just take the valves out, inspect them, make sure they're not bent. If they are, I might as well just order another head, because I mean, it's not terrible, but it's definitely, all these raised areas are going to cause heat spots. You know, I'm just going to act like a glow plug, and you know, I could go in there. I'm probably going to go in there and file this down and smooth it out. But if the valves are bent, what's the point? So, and with these, I can compress the valve spring by hand without using a valve spring compressor. I have one, but it's meant for automotive. So you can watch me kind of fiddle with this right now. Sorry about that. Okay. Get you a little closer. So I'm just going to put something on the bottom to keep the valve from from the valve pushing down. And I don't know if this will work. This might work. So that way I can compress the spring and the valve won't. See, now the keepers are right there. This would actually be perfect with two people. But there's one of them. Let's see if I can get the other one. There we go. So I got the keepers out. Valve string and retainer. What's also interesting Like I said, I don't work on small engines much, but I would assume this is the intake, and it has a valve seal, but the other one doesn't. So it's one or the other. Either the intake has a valve seal and the exhaust doesn't, or vice versa. So looking at the valve, they don't look bent. Margin looks alright. Definitely seen some miles, you know, seen some wear anyways, usage, I should say. Well, the point of me taking these out is to inspect them for one, and for two, I'm going to do this for myself. So this valve came out of the top and has the valve seal. I'm going to put the spring and the retainer with the valve and move the keepers over here. And typically, I don't know, with gas and like car engines, the keepers are different per valve. Like the intake valve and the exhaust valve, they have different style keepers, so you can't mix them up. Alright, this one, yeah, I think this is exhaust, because usually, at least on, like I said, on car engines, the exhaust valve and the intake valve are different sizes. You can see there's, I might lap the valves if I end up reusing this head. I think I'm gonna, and I'm just gonna lap them in, so that way, because you can see there's a little bit of carbon and, excuse me, inside there. Just lined up. See if I can do this again. Well, here we go. So I got it cleaned up. I got the fan going, so I apologize for the sound, the noise. But I got it, you know, pretty well cleaned up as much as I care to clean it up. And the reason I got the fan going is because I soaked this thing in gas for a while. Try to get all the, you know, the crud off the outside. So anyways, I got this rough cylinder now from, you know, it being chewed up. So what I got here is a couple different, you know, abrasive pads that I'm going to use. And this is totally the wrong thing to do, but I'm going to try to do it the right way. As you know, I'm not sending this to the machine shop, so this is how it's going to be. I'm just going to start slow with a medium pad and see what I come up with. I'm going to stay within that circle of the cylinder. I'm not even going full speed with it. You can see it's starting to polish, but there's a lot of little crevices in it. If I had my welder set up for aluminum, I would just fill that in, but I don't. The purpose of this is to take all the, better shot. I got tinnitus, that's why I'm wearing this. But anyways, the purpose of taking all this and at least knocking it down is because it creates hot spots inside the cylinder. So when the cylinder gets hot, all those little ridges will act as glow plugs and it'll misfire. So that's why I'm doing this. Just taking my time because this is aluminum and it cuts real easy. So. It's easy to go too far. See, like right here, that one's pretty bad. Alright, I'm back. I had to go get some valve grinding compound. So I'm going to start, and I guess I should say the valves were fine. I mean, surprisingly, they didn't get trashed. There's no chunks taken out of them. There's a little carbon buildup on both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lap the valves in. Okay. I'm going to make sure I put it in the right hole. Put some PB Blaster on the stem. And I got some compound on the face of the valve. I sprayed the valve guide out with brake clean, and then put some PB Blaster on the stem here, so it shouldn't do any damage to the guide. So what I'm going to do is just chuck it up in the drill, and then I'm going to start lapping it. You hear that grinding? That's the compound working. Basically, you don't want it to just sit there. You want to kind of touch off on it, and then you'll hear a change in the sound, and that's when the compound's finished grinding. And at that point, you'll have to clean it off and apply more or stop. Either way, you basically inspect. Let me show you. Basically, what you're looking for is for the seat and the face, the seat and the face of the valve, right, this part here, to be nice and shiny and be even. So right now you can see it's not shiny at all, so that's why I'm doing this. And you can go in reverse too. Now you don't hear it grinding as much. We're going to check it. Have to wipe off our compound here. I can see here this gray margin. That's what we're looking for, is a nice and even margin there. And then we're going to check the head of the seat for the same thing. And there we go. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Now you can see it. This is the hole we just did. So it's not. It's a nice dull gray color, and it's even all the way around. So we're going to stop there, and then we're going to switch over to the intake valve. So you don't want to go too far and take this very edge off right here on the tip here. You don't want to take that off. You want to leave that. You just only want to grind this right here. I call it the margin. I don't know if that's the correct term for it. But. So that valve is done. And then when I'm done with all this, when I'm done lapping the valves in, I'm going to clean the head again. And I'm going to clean the valves really good, because you don't want any of that compound in there. It'll eat away your guides and seats, and it's no bueno. So I'm going to do the intake valve. Get a new paper towel here. Okay, now I'm going to start assembling it. I got everything cleaned up. I already threw the exhaust valve in because I thought that was going to be the most difficult, but it was easy. So now all I got to do is put the lash cap on the valve, exhaust valve stem. It's just this little lash cap here. It was only on the exhaust valve. They didn't have one on the intake. Alright, so here's my setup. I just got a socket underneath where the valve is, and then I'm using these shims to help just support the head, so it's not, you know, twisting around on me. So, like I was saying earlier, you don't want to install your valve dry into the guide. You know, that won't that's not good. So what I'm going to do, I got some comp cams, you know, assembly lube, just something to you know, protect that guide until it starts circulating oil and everything. So I'm not going to put a great deal on it. This stuff's pretty sticky. You know, just put a little bit on there. And slide it into the intake valve pocket here. Okay, now I'm going to set the valve on top of my socket here. That's what's going to keep it from falling down. Get my little stand set up here. Now I'm pretty fortunate that I can just push the spring down and put the keepers or locks in there. You know, like anything automotive, you can't do that. You know, you're looking at 100 pounds of pressure on a stock engine, and somewhere, you know, 300 and some on a race engine. So you're not doing it by hand unless you're freaking Godzilla or something. So like I have this valve spring compressor, which it works, but it sucks. And then I just because I do Mopar a lot, I got this one where it'll actually bolt to where your rocker shaft is, and then I can just compress it that way. I don't have any of the clamshell type or the vice grip type, because I don't know, I've used them in the past and I didn't really care for them. But anyways, here we go. So I looped up the valve stem, so it's nice and it's nice and lubricated inside the guide. I'm going to put a little bit in the valve spring pocket here. I'll show you that. This is where the valve spring rides. And then also, I'm going to put the valve spring in. This can go either way, it doesn't matter. It's not directional. The retainer, I'm going to put a little bit on the retainer. so that's not dry when it goes in. And then, pretty simple, I'm just going to push it down with my thumbs and then work the locks in there one at a time. It'll sit in that groove. Okay, I got one in there. I don't know if you can tell, most engine guys know, but these are cone shaped, these locks, and so you want to put the narrow end in, and then of course on the inside of it it's got a groove that will fit into that valve and it will lock it in. So I got one side in, now I got to put the other side in. That's it. That's all there is to it. And then, like I said, this one gets the lash cap. So now that's assembled. I gotta put this guide plate back on. This is, I don't know what kind of Loctite they used. It was like a clear. I don't have any red Loctite, the high strength, but I got the medium strength, so that's what I'm going to go with. You really don't want these backing out, so I'm putting a healthy dose on there. Probably way too much, but like I said, you don't want it coming out. If I had red Loctite, that's what I would use, but I caked it pretty good. I believe that was a 9mm, I think. Nope, 10mm. Spray out my socket, it's a little dirty. You always want to be clean, clean, clean when you're working on engine stuff. It's the #1 enemy of the engine is dirt. I didn't bother to look up any torque specs on this, but it's, you know, it is a mower after all, but it is aluminum. So for those that don't know, you don't want to over tighten anything that goes into aluminum because it'll strip the threads out. I'm just going to go snug and call it a day. That Loctite, that's what that Loctite's for, is it glues it in there. So and it's not going to start up right away anyway. I still got to wait for the carburetor. I ordered that on Amazon, so it won't be here for a couple days. But I am able to throw the head back on, so that's what I'm going to do in the meantime. So there you go. Rebuilt head. Machine shop ready. I'm sure people are like, what the hell is this guy doing? But honestly, I think it'll ride just fine. I took all the crap out, you know, all the dings and stuff out of it, so I think it'll be fine. So now I'm ready to throw it back on the engine. I got to scrape the head gasket off the engine side of it, and I'm not going to show that, but I'll bring it back when I go to bolt the head back on. Okay, so now I'm ready to put the head back on. scrape the old gasket off, cleaned the carbon off of the carburetor. Get the camera in here a little closer. Yeah, okay, so I cleaned the carbon off the, I'm sorry, not the carburetor, the piston. Piston is a little beat up, but it doesn't, there's no chunks missing, so I think it'll be all right, and I don't see any cracks in it. So we'll run it and see what happens. I went and got this gasket kit at my local small engine repair shop. Otherwise, Amazon, it wouldn't have been here till next month. So, grab the right one. And you don't use any sealer on head gaskets. And see, I'm not a total butcher. I kept the dirt out of the inside of it. So, let's see. How does this go now? This way. Just like that. Alright, now let me get my bucket of head bolts. And I don't see that they used any kind of Loctite on them, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then I got the heads all cleaned up, ready to go. So, set it on the dowel pin here. Wherever it is. There we go. Okay. Let's put a couple of these in so it doesn't fall off. And again, I may have taken this apart with an impact, but I will not put it back together with one. I'm not that stupid. I honestly, when I started this project, I didn't think that this was even a salvageable engine. I thought it was gone. It was bit the dust. I was thinking crankshaft had snapped, or one of these valve springs broke and bent a valve, and the valve was floating around in there, or all kinds of stuff I was thinking. So worked out, but still gotta wait for a new carburetor. But isn't that something, that the carburetor is what caused all this damage? You think they would have put a screen in that intake manifold to prevent, well, I guess they probably didn't want to hinder airflow, but man, of all the things, I don't know, I guess I haven't really worked on small engines that much, but I've never really heard of a carburetor breaking apart and ending up in the engine, but hey, it's news to me. Alright. So this is kind of boring. I'm just running all these bolts in. And then, you know, you do the whole crisscross thing. Not the band, but you go crosswise, just like you're tightening. I can't say tightening on camera for some reason. Like you're tightening up your wheel studs, wheel lug nuts. Okay. And I also need to clean up that valve cover, put the new gasket on it, and insert the push rods and put the rocker arms back on. There is an adjustment on those nuts. They have like a, I don't know, like a Torx or a... What's up, guys? So it's been a couple days, had to wait on the mail. So I ordered the carburetor and I ordered a mechanical fuel pump. So comes with the fuel line and gasket and some other things, clamps. So this is supposed to be a direct replacement for that old carburetor. And just to recap, this throttle shaft broke and sent this in pieces and screws into the head. So what I have to do is unbolt this intake here and put it on the new one, hook up the linkage, and then I should be able to fire it up and test it and see if it's going to run. The only really difference I see is the bottom of the fuel bowl, but I really don't think that's going to make a difference. It's got the same connectors. And it's got an O-ring here for the intake. Honestly, I could probably replace that, but I don't have one. Then this goes to the air filter. So I'll hook this back, hook this up. Don't need to grill all this, it's plastic and it's O-ring. So now this is the throttle shaft that broke off, so I left it connected so I know how to hook it up to the new carburetor. So you got like a little spring here. We're going to transfer that over. There it goes. And this one here slides into there. There we go. And I bent it a little bit. No big deal. And then the other one, I don't know where that goes.
Extra parts.
We'll come back to that one. This one, that's the throttle. This is, I believe, for the choke. Throttle. I'll have to figure that one out. Cut it.
On.
Well, let's see if this thing will even turn over. I need longer cords on this thing. So I got a key, but no, it won't turn over with the key. I'm gonna jump the starter relay. Come on, I'll show you. It's kind of like a Mopar or old car. It's got a starter relay right here. So I'm just going to jump the guess she doesn't want to start, or I don't have a good connection. There we go. There you go. And it's got compression. I think she'll run. Well, I think I'm ready to fire it up. Really windy today. So it wasn't starting with the key, or I should say, I was testing it to see if it would turn over, and the key, it wasn't working. So I was arcing the starter solenoid with a screwdriver. So I ordered this new starter relay, and well, the key started working. So, but I also ordered a kit, a fuel line kit, because I put gas in the gas tank, and then it just immediately all leaked out the tank. So it had this fitting here on the bottom of the tank with a rubber grommet like this that had just rotted off. So that explains why the tank had been empty all these years. So this kit came with a couple fuel shutoffs, these clamps, a couple fuel filters. We end up putting a Kohler fuel filter on it. And I put a brand new fuel pump on it, replaced 2/3 of the line. These two lines look fine, so I didn't mess with those. Changed the oil, put a new filter on, hooked the carburetor up, put a new plug in it. To get to the gas tank, I had to take the whole body off. Basically had to take these bolts off on both sides. There's a bolt underneath holding this tread plate on. Then, you know, I had to remove this filler. And I had to remove these two bolts as well, and then take the knob off, and then the whole thing slid off. I took the seat off, but you don't have to take the seat off. I learned that. You do have to disconnect this wire though. I have this 5-gallon bucket of oil dry on here because of that sensor on the seat. It won't start without having somebody sit on the seat. So I got it. Got the clutch engaged. I'm gonna throw my earmuffs on because there's no muffler. I ordered a new muffler. Let's see over here. One of the reasons I thought the engine was shot, not only because it bent over the strap on the spark plug, but also it rattled something terrible. Well, that rattle is actually the muffler. I got another one of those on order. But for now, I'm just going to test it and see if it'll fire up. So here we go. Oh, and I replaced the battery too. that's it. And this thing hasn't ran in 7 years. Now it's got a new lease on life. So thanks for watching, and I guess this episode we can call it Rockin' Mowers. Take care.